Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting for Thursday, April 17th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a prayer.
Heavenly Father, I thank you for all that are gathered here. Thank you for your son. Thank you for this Easter holiday. Watch over everyone as they travel and visit with family. Give us all the strength and wisdom to persevere in this ever-changing world. In your heavenly name we pray. Amen.
There's two executive sessions held, one on April 10th and one on April 14th, both on for personnel reasons. This meeting this evening is being recorded for rebroadcast purposes. This time I'd like to welcome anyone that has a comment for agenda items to please come forward, state your name for the meeting minutes. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to action items. April 3rd meeting minutes. I don't have any changes. How about you guys?
Nothing I've not seen.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 3rd, 2025 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, the Lancaster County Conservation District MOU. Melody, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So Lancaster County and the Conservation District and municipalities in the county have maintained an MOU for some time to kind of flesh out what that relationship looks like. This is the boilerplate MOU that they maintain with all municipalities. The one that is in place currently expires at the end of May, so this is just redoing that MOU for this.
Do you know of any changes between the last two?
Not that I'm aware of, and Matt reviewed and said it was
Good to go.
acceptable.
Okay.
Got any questions for Melody, Jeff?
No, looking at it, it's pretty straightforward, just explaining what the Conservation District's responsibilities are and township responsibilities. Just puts it all out there in black and white. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
All right. I'll make a motion to authorize Lorenzo Benura, Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, to execute 2025 Memorandum of Understanding between East Cocalico Township and the Lancaster County Conservation District to outline the scope and scale of responsibilities and expectations between the two organizations.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, we got the Stony Point Park Grant Design Proposal.
So this past year, we were awarded a $250,000 grant from DCNR to rehabilitate Stony Point Park. This is moving that process forward and going with the design for that process. YSN has worked with us developing the master plan for the park, and they also worked with us developing the grant application. So they put forward a proposal for doing some of the design work. We have budgeted approximately $66,000 for design work, and the proposal here is about approximately $47,000.
Glad to finally see we're starting to do something there, so that's good.
I think you said earlier maybe that's a matching grant we have from
And it's a
DCNR.
matching grant, so we did have to provide $250,000 in match ourselves.
Yeah. That should make a nice job when it's done.
All right. I'll make a motion to authorize Lorenzo Benura, Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, to execute a proposal from YSM to act as the design consultant for the 2024 C2P2 grant project for Stony Point Park rehabilitation.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. Next up, we got the Recreation Board Member resignation. Tara Erkinger had sent in a resignation letter. She's traveling a lot for work right now and can't attend any of the meetings. I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Tara Erkinger from the position of Recreation Board Member effective immediately.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And as an FYI, we have 2 openings on the rec board, so if anyone's interested in donating some time, send a resume to atm@ect.town. It's going to be a lot of fun working with the other 3 people. We have a lot of parks we're starting to look at and try to put nice things together for the community. Next up, we have a police officer resignation. Chief, would you like to talk about it a little bit?
Sure.
Please.
On April 11th of this year, I received a letter of resignation from Officer Joe Doherty. Officer Joe Doherty joined our department this June will be 3 years, so he's with us for a little over 2.5 years. I accepted his letter of resignation. His last day of employment here in the township will be April 25th. In his letter, he wanted to thank everyone for providing him this opportunity. This was his first police job upon graduating from the police academy. He has a 4-year degree. After that, he went to the police academy, and that's where we hired him as soon as he graduated. So he wanted to thank everyone for allowing him the opportunity to work here. He stated it was a privilege and an honor to serve the citizens of East Cocalico Township in Denver Borough. And we're losing a good officer. He's a young officer, he's a good officer, and he's took another police job closer to home, and I can't fault him for that. So, but he will be missed. He's a good officer.
Please express our sincerest gratitude to him for the years that he did serve here. Certainly a good member of the team and will be missed, certainly.
I would like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Joseph Doherty from the position of police officer effective April 25th, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Aye.
Thanks, Chief. Planning and Codes Director, new hire ratification. Do you want to give a little bit of a background quick?
So, since the beginning of the year, we have been looking for a planning and codes director to serve as a zoning officer, a code enforcement officer, work with the zoning hearing board, all of that sort of thing. After rigorous search, we found a gentleman from Codesville. His name is Steve, and he is happy to come here with a long history of experience in zoning and also in fire. And he is excited to start later this month.
It's been a long process, trying to find the right one. And Melody and Rich and the board have interviewed, well, we interviewed Steve, but not other candidates, but I think we finally found the right one. Having a zoning officer, full-time zoning officer in-house, I think is going to be very beneficial, not only to us, but to the citizens, and always an eye out on the roads and making sure things are getting done properly and all that good stuff. So I can't wait for Steve to get started. He's a very friendly people person kind of guy when we met him. And like you said, he has extensive background in the fire department, and I think he was a chief or something like that.
He was chief for a time, he was also a code enforcement officer, he did a number of things.
Yeah, he's got a very thick background there, so that's good.
One of the things I was looking at when we were talking to him was, he's literally the face of the community, he's out in the community all day. I wanted to make sure it was somebody, I think, I was looking for somebody that would be a very good face for that, have good communication skills, and thought, I think he's going to be a great fit for our community, so we're really happy to have him come on board.
What was his name?
Steve Dobson.
Stephen Dobson. So you want to say anything, or you're good? No. I'll make a motion to ratify the hire of Stephen Dobson, D-O-B-S-O-N, Planning and Codes Director, subject to the terms set forth in a conditional offer of employment dated March 26, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. Next up, we got the Finance Director salary and benefits adjustment. The board considered a senior staff level salary and benefit in order to remain competitive. As a result, decided to increase the CFO's compensation to what we understand to be today's market. At this point, I'd like to make a motion to ratify an adjustment to the salary and benefits of the Finance Director consisting of a $9,150 salary increase and an additional week of vacation effective April 20th, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Hill Road change order.
So this is a change order to the Hill Road culvert construction. It's just some extra things that need to be done there that require an adjustment to the bid. And the change order is in your packet.
Yep. The biggest part of this change order was the thickness of the blacktop. I don't know how many of you drive Hill Road. Every time we used to hit this culvert, there was kind of like a little bow in it. This is for 3 extra inches of blacktop and some base work to kind of get everything to flow without a dip. So for doing it, obviously once they shot the heights, they determined that's going to be needed. I know there's a lot of frustration, people saying they gotta drive around, but as they say, pain is temporary. After that, we're good to go. I will make a motion to accept the change order for the East Cocalico Township culvert replacements as provided by Brubacher in change order request 2415-404-104 dated March 28, 2025 in the amount of $6,758.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. Interfund transfer, bill list, and payroll.
Just for, they're estimating about 3 weeks on Hill Road completion, if anybody was wondering. Copious amounts of rain have delayed it quite a bit too. There were some other issues with doing it too, with some CGI, the gas line was different size than was anticipated, so that set us back a little bit. We were hoping to have it done before May, but now it's going to be in
May 5th to May 9th. That's the expected opening date.
So, just to give you a little.
I guess a little more background on that dollar amount was for 62 extra tons of blacktop and having it put down and laid, so that it'll be a little thicker there. We hope that it'll knit and last a lot longer by putting that there, so that tells you what a couple truckloads of blacktop put down cost.
Treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report. Okay. Got general fund bank account list of bills. The amount of $133,178.05 for the week of April 4th and $205,360.62 for the week of April 11th. Is there any questions on either one of those? Let me just add one little additional fact in there. One of on the April 4th, I believe it was, there was another Denver Road Bridge payment in there when you look at the list.
April 2nd.
We are getting down, we got one more payment this year and one more payment next year, and that will be concluded finally. So, seeing no questions, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We have a developers fund list of bills in the amount of $4,483.63 for the week of April 11th. Is there any questions there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And we have a capital reserve fund list of bills in the amount of $546 for the week of April 4th and $51,606.56 for the week of April 11th. Is there any questions there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We have a light fund list of bills in the amount of $15,238.67 for the week of April 11th. Any question there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries.
We have an electronic payment list of bills in the amount of $93,910.49 for the pay period of March 23rd to April 5th. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries.
And that's the treasurer's report.
Thank you. Department reports, police, chief.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The Chief's report for March 2025, I'd like to discuss a few serious cases that we investigated during that month. On March 27th, around 7:34 in the morning, a 10-year-old female was struck by a vehicle as she attempted to cross a street in the 700 block of South 4th Street in Denver Borough. It's right in front of the Denver Elementary School. She was struck in or around the crosswalk before the crossing guard was stationed at their post. The investigation is still ongoing as officers determine the causation factor in this crash. The child sustained head injuries and was treated at the Milton Hershey Children's Hospital. And I'm happy to report that the child was just discharged from the hospital and has returned to school. 50-year-old township resident was charged with endangering the welfare of children and reckless endangering another person after a shooting investigation. Officers were notified by Reading Hospital emergency staff that an 11-year-old boy sustained a gunshot wound to the head and was being airlifted to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Investigators found numerous unsecured firearms and ammunition throughout the residence, including the child's bedroom. During the investigation, it was determined that the child shot himself while handling a loaded handgun. It was a .22 caliber handgun. The man was arraigned and released on unsecured bail. The child underwent surgery at Philadelphia, and he was discharged from the hospital, and he too returned to school. 75-year-old Newmanstown man was charged with DUI after an incident at the Denver Park. This occurred on March 28th, about 9 a.m. An officer was patrolling the Denver Memorial Park. He observed a man standing by his open car door urinating on the ground. As the officer approached to explain to this man that there's a porta potty less than 20 feet away, the man sat back down in the driver's seat of his car. The engine was still running. The man admitted to driving to the park. He said he was going to Green Dragon and pulled into the park to relieve himself. The officer determined that he was impaired. A breath test indicated a blood alcohol concentration of 0.017%. He was sent a summons to appear in court. And a 31-year-old Indiana man was charged with receiving stolen property after officers were called to a disturbance at the Turkey Hill at 2 Denver Road here in the township on March 10th at about 1:15 in the morning. It was reported that there was a man panhandling or harassing customers for gas money. When officers arrived and investigated, they found that the vehicle that the man was in was stolen out of Indiana. So the vehicle was recovered, and he was remanded to Lancaster County Prison in lieu of $10,000 bail. And during the month of March, officers located and arrested 2 adult males in East Cocalico Township. Both had outstanding arrest warrants, and they were turned over to the issuing authorities. During the month of March, we performed 3 speed studies in Denver Borough. We did also conduct a week-long speed study here in the township in the 100 block of North Reamstown Road. Of course, the posted speed limit there is 25 miles per hour. The average speed recorded during that week was 33.6 miles per hour. The highest speed recorded was 71, and that was at 3 p.m. We conducted another speed study in the 1100 block of West Swartzville Road, State Road 897, in East Cocalico Township. The posted speed limit here is 35 miles per hour. The average speed recorded during that week was 42.3. The highest speed recorded was 74, and that was sometime between 8 and 11 p.m. And finally, during the month of March, Officer Rachel Odenwald completed a 3-day interview and interrogation training course. This training is an essential part of everyday police work and criminal investigations as well. She's the second officer. Last month I reported that Officer Stauffer went to that course, so we're getting all of our officers caught up with the training. When I say caught up, we have certain criteria with training that we send all officers to, and this is one. And during the month of March, officers responded to a total of 502 calls here in the township and 156 calls for service in Denver Borough. So the calls are starting to creep up again. It's that time of year. That concludes my report.
Sounds like a busy month.
It has been.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, nothing to report from Finance, Public Works, Building SCO. There's stuff in the packet. New business, the zoning hearing board representation for Herzog. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So the township had sent a notice of violation to Herzog's Garage, claiming that we felt that their use of U-Haul rentals was against the zoning code. And in their zone, so they have submitted a zoning hearing board application to get a variance to continue that use. And this is on the item to see if the township has a position on the application, would like to send somebody to respond to that at the zoning hearing board.
I think the interpretation was when the letter was sent that they shouldn't have it there, obviously, so perhaps since we don't have a zoning officer currently that sent the letter, we probably should send our solicitor to represent the board and kind of review the zoning on the property and all that and see where we're at.
Okay.
That's my thought at least.
I guess we have another meeting until the zoning hearing board would meet again. I didn't have a chance to talk to Matt to know if there was any concerns that he had about this.
Okay. Is that Herzog or is that?
Yes.
the other one?
Sure.
Okay. They didn't appeal, I don't believe, did they?
No, they,
Not timely.
No, they submitted a zoning hearing board
Application, okay. I thought you said appeal, okay. So when would that be?
That's May 14th.
Okay.
we'll be meeting again May 1st.
Okay, so we will review it. I looked it over quickly. We'll review it in more depth and we can report back
May 1st.
May 1st
Okay.
on what the position,
Yep.
yeah.
Next up, we have the zoning discussion on citizen storage. Kind of the same situation there. The zoning officer sent a notice of violation for that property with the U-Haul trucks and trailers and all that around there. The U-Haul attorney sent a letter back saying that they think that it's permitted. I would suggest again that our solicitor look at that zoning determination done back in 2000, whenever, 2003. If I read through correctly, I think there was something on there saying that there was no storage of vehicles and stuff allowed on that property.
No outside storage.
Outside storage,
And that there would
yes.
be no vehicles parked on the property.
Yep, so being that that little strip center is fully occupied now with tenants, it's pretty busy with people attending those businesses. And obviously, if you drive by there and you see all the U-Haul trucks and trailers and everything going the whole way around the building, my opinion, it's a hazard as well, even for the fire departments. God forbid something were to happen, that's already a small property as it is. They're not gonna even be able to get a fire truck around that building. So again, I think we should look at that and go over that and probably respond back to their letter.
Yeah, all they did was a letter, they did not file an appeal,
No.
and as far as I know, they have not filed an application with the zoning hearing board.
That's
So the question also becomes as to whether or not you want to pursue the notice of violation, since they did nothing to address it, other than sending back an email. But again, we will review it and come back on May 1 with our recommendation as to how you should handle it, if that's acceptable.
Yeah, there's no time constraint on that one, would there be?
No, they've already, the deadlines for them to do anything have already passed, other than if they would file a zoning hearing board application, there's a deadline on them for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just an enforcement issue.
It's an enforcement action at this point, yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously, I didn't see the situation, but from what you're saying, there's a fire lane blockage there to get around the buildings, is that?
The back side of the property, there's a fence of the building, not the property. The chain link fence goes around the whole storage unit part. The building sits up towards the front. If you ever drive by, which I drive by multiple times a day, I've counted as much as 12 U-Haul trucks there, not including the trailers. And when you're driving by, in the back there along the chain link fence, it's lined with trucks and trailers. And that's not even on the side parking lot there. So there's no way, I think our ambulance would actually even struggle to try to get around that building. Our new ambulance, because it seems a lot bigger than the older one. And I know there's a karate thing there, God forbid somebody were to need an ambulance and they're struggling to get out of the place. But
So it's more or less a safety violation. Okay.
And if it's permitted, but, you know, in my opinion, you can't just keep adding things to a commercial district or whatever. You can't just do things without asking, and there's rules and regulations for a reason.
That type of use is not permitted in the zoning district that's in under the ordinance.
There you go.
Yeah, there is
How
no
long has it
outside
been
storage.
operating?
Like that, probably 2-3 months,
Okay.
because you probably, I don't know if you drive up that way a lot. There used to be, at one point, we had 4 U-Haul dealers within 1.5 miles. It was Cocalico Storage, Herzog, Standout Specialties, where the radiator store used to be, and them. Now it's gone, Cocalico went away, Standout Specialties went away, so now we're down to 2.
They are claiming that they are a permitted use as a parking lot accessory to manufacturing or warehousing. But that's not what manufacturing or warehousing, many storage units are not warehousing. So they would fall under the retail sales and or rental of goods and services. And while that's permitted, it has to be conducted within a completely enclosed structure, which it is not. So that's what the notice of violation was, that they were not operating within a completely enclosed structure.
Because the vehicles are outside,
The
they're not.
vehicles are outside.
Okay, so you guys will report back
Mm-hmm.
May 1st.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything else under new business, guys? I wanted to just bring up one thing previously that was on, we had in place prior to our previous manager. And being that I'm bringing this up because we don't have a full-time manager at the moment, we just have pretty much an interim, and then our assistant manager, is spending limits. We used to have those. And I feel like we should at least discuss if we want to do that again till we get another full-time manager in place. Just to make sure, you know, we can kind of get our eyes on certain things and it's not an open checkbook for anybody. I mean, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. I think previously it was at $1,000. Anything over $1,000 came to the board. And again, once we hire another full-time manager, then he or she can discuss with Melody and they can come up with their, how they would like to see the structure. But as of now, you know, Rich is here for now. He's just passerby per se. I just feel like getting our eyes on things might be a little bit better at this time.
Right. So what do you think spending limit would be?
Previously, when I first came on the board 3.5 years ago, it was $1,000. I remember our old roadmaster, anything over $1,000, he would come in here and ask us at a meeting, which obviously they don't come in anymore, but they could communicate it back to the board through Melody or Rich. I think $1,000, there's a lot. You can get a lot of things with $1,000, but obviously you're not going to go buy a new pump or new whatever it is. And obviously, if something fails that's pretty big, Rich, I'm assuming, can always pull the board and be like, hey, this is what happened, or Melody can pull the board and say, hey, this is what happened, what do you think? That's always a possibility too, pulling the board.
Okay.
Rather than us showing up and being like, oh, here's a $3,500 bill, and what's it for? We all bought new shoes today. Well, no. You know, just saying.
Absolutely.
Not that that's gonna happen.
No, not that it's really ever happened, but.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is that something you'd like to see at a meeting, or with something in your memo? What are you thinking of regarding that?
Probably, you're saying, if that needs to happen, it will probably be something, for now, I would like to probably see it on the agenda, and we would have an action item saying, hey, we're gonna buy a new truck today. You know, like, you know, not a truck, but that's obviously not budgeted, but, you know, a new pool pump, for example. Probably like $5,000-6,000. I just don't wanna show up during the week and see that bill and be like, well, I didn't know about this, you know what I mean? But that's just my thoughts, I don't know what these guys think.
Are you saying further conversation about this, what he's bringing up, or are you talking
I'm
about
asking
how we want to?
how you want to play out, how you want the robust to be like.
Right.
Lorenzo's right, that was part of procedure in the past. It's always good to be showing the public where their money's getting spent and seeing what the vote of the board is, if it's unanimous or not. And you saw tonight that there was a change order out here on Hill Road. You had it explained to you before the money was spent. And, you know, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's good that, you know, we basically have 3 treasurers sitting here with the board. Takes 2 signatures from 2 board members on any check that goes out, and to sign off on payroll. And we've done that to so that all 3 of us have an idea of where the money's being spent, how it's being spent, and that there's just not any one person making decisions. These are board sign-offs on it. And, you know, I don't think it's a bad idea for the public to be seeing how some of this is explained and voted on before it gets spent. Obviously, if there's an emergency, you mentioned a pump going out or something, you know, you gotta get it fixed, you know, quickly. You just can't leave that sit for weeks. And normally, so there's no reason to not move ahead with that. You'd have to keep the pool or something else operational, but you know, in regular situations, you know, I don't think it's a bad idea. I did see that we've got some future traffic signal work coming up with some updates and repairs that is a substantial amount of money. thanks to the Public Works Department, looks like they're helping out with a big portion of what the bill would have been, so.
Saving us about $5,000 roughly.
That's correct.
So, yeah, good work to them, but there's still a substantial amount of money to be spent on this upkeep, but that'll be in front of us, I guess. Maybe we could have that in front of us next meeting.
So I could definitely, if you like, I can put something on the May 1st meeting, an action item on that front, or would you like to take action on this tonight?
Does that mean we're making a decision if we direct that? If there's nothing on the agenda about
No,
it, so
it's
should
just,
we
you're
wait?
just discussing it, it would be a future action that you can put on an agenda for a decision. You're not making a decision tonight, you're just bringing it up as a
Yeah,
topic.
so put that on the agenda for our May 1st, Melody.
Yeah.
Since it's not in place right now, obviously, the CM High bill you were gonna do on Monday,
Hold on. Or,
it's not in place right now, so you do what you guys have been doing. It's not in place right now.
gotcha.
I'm not making a decision, I'm just telling you,
Okay, fair enough.
so.
Thank you.
We're obviously, so are you thinking, we're obviously going to discuss it in May, but are you thinking, what, $1,000 limit? Anything over 1,000 comes to the board with a vote. If it's an emergency factor, then there's a, like Lorenzo said, there can be an emergency poll, if you will, or whatever you want to call that.
And Rich has done a great job in that, calling us and pulling us one by one, so.
Yeah, I would think that'd be a good move just from a transparency perspective anyway.
For now.
So, yeah.
For now, and, once we hire our full-time manager, then, we can sit down and let them know what we're looking for, and most likely, we're gonna continue that, because I personally like being transparent of where the money's going, so I don't like shifting those stuff, so.
Well, you may want to consider a little more than $1,000.
Right.
So 3.5 years ago, $1,000, and now
That's true.
$1,000. So if you're going to discuss it further, maybe think about what
Dollar amount.
dollar amount. And-
Inflation.
It all depends what inflation means to each and every one of us.
Exactly.
It could mean
Exactly.
$5 to him, it could mean $500 to me.
Depends, yeah, well, depends on what you're spending on it.
Yeah. All right,
Thank you.
So if you think about that, and then make it be an
May 1st.
agenda item for discussion.
All right,
And they
sounds
will.
good.
Yeah.
A new business, I just got a phone call this Thursday, Monday, from the headhunting firm that we hired to do our manager search. As of Monday, we had 9 applicants. That's huge. And 2 more coming in. The deadline for applicants is the 28th of April. And we have something set up for the 29th. We have a teams meeting set up with the headhunter, the board and him, for the 29th to review all the applicants. One thing I really like about this headhunter, not anybody, a guy that tosses pizzas for a living couldn't go on and apply for this manager position without requesting a application. So his process is you request the application, he gives you a couple questions, make sure that you're what you say you are, and then he gives you this detailed application, gives you a deadline to get it back, and then he sets up all his interviews. He said he had over 20 or 22 people reach out, but at least half of them didn't meet the criteria that we were looking for right off the bat. So he's like, I don't want to waste my time, I don't want you to waste your time. Prior to doing this, he spoke individually with each and every one of us on the board, asking us what specifically we were looking for. So he was trying to tailor up, what he thinks we need. So obviously when we did our last manager search, the pool was a little bit tighter. The way they did it was different than the way these guys are doing it. We had a lot of manufacturing job people applying for the manager job. We had a guy from Domino's and Pizza Hut apply for the manager job. And we just got bombarded with with applicants that weren't even qualified, weren't even reading the criteria and degrees and all that. So he's very confident that by the end of May, we will already know who our new manager will be. So that's very, very good at a portion of the price. I think a third of what we paid previously. So that's good. That's good because these people are looking at what's happening in East Cocalico, and so far he says everyone he's talked to have read up and asked very good questions about East Cocalico, and they see the building pressure we're going up against, because I assume they've been reading all our meeting minutes and agendas and watching YouTube videos to see what they're getting into, and they want to be a part of the success. So that's feedback he gave to me, so I wanted to put out to you guys all. Old business, you guys got anything? No?
We had someone discuss and come up with concerns about the curbing in Meadowbrook. I just want to make sure that that I address that and that we are working to favorably and diligently work through that process. The curbs have all been marked out now. Notifications will be sent out, but we're going to be we're taking a step back and slowing this process down just a little bit, so that we're being a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for, helpful to the residents that weren't aware of this stuff going on. We weren't aware of some of the curbing that needed to be replaced, so we're slowing the process down. It may, if you're a resident of Meadowbrook, it might slow down the repaving of Meadowbrook. We're looking at later this year, or maybe into next year with paving. We'll see. In order to give the residents time to really look at their own curbing and try to be helpful and partnering with the residents rather than just saying, hey, this is what's happening. So that's what I just want to make sure we address that, because somebody did bring that up last meeting about, responsibility of the curb. So
Rich, I spoke to him, Rich, our interim, walked out there with one of the engineers and our director of public works to market. The criteria originally was a little different than when they walk through there now. They were trying to be more lenient, like Dan said, to not be so picky on certain things. We're really looking at where it's sinking, where it's going to be an issue where water could end up underneath the new road, and obviously from frost and all that, it could destroy the new road. Letters will be going out, I think, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, Rich had said. I don't know if
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
we originally were going to be doing this all under the bid with the contractor at the price that we ended up getting back at $99.02 linear foot. We are going to be, in the letter, we are going to be telling the residents that we're going to give them the opportunity, just like we did on Oak Lane, there behind Sunoco a couple of years ago. We gave them the opportunity to go out and get their own contractors if they can save some money there, and do it by a certain timeline, so we can then get in and pave. We're hopeful. New Enterprise said they can push this off a little bit, like Dan said. The original deadline was like October. They said they might be able to stretch that a little bit, I think Rich was saying, but we have to see. And if we do have to go into next year, we will. It's just how we sent this out to bid. It all came back like this, and we really weren't aware of the letters not going out to the residents and informing them that this was going to take place. So just to make it fair, we could have started in about a month. We could have already started paving and ripping out the curb and replacing them and sending bills. So we definitely did take 10 steps back and, hey, let's look at this. The residents are going to get their letters. If they have questions, our director of public works or interim manager can meet them out there. They can discuss the curb right on site and go from there. But one thing I did want to mention, we need to make sure the curb gets done where it needs to get done. Again, we're gonna be spending over $1.5 million in Meadowbrook to repave it. And if we try to kick the can down the road, it's gonna affect the road. So unless everyone wants to see their taxes keep going up, because we have to go back and fix what we didn't fix the first time, I highly suggest, you know, get an understanding of the situation. If you have questions, get them out there. They're more than willing to come out, look at your curve, discuss it, and let's get it done properly.
Yeah, residents there have gone through a lot the last couple of years with sewer and water line replacements throughout most of all of the development. And the authority, I didn't hear what the final number they spent was, but it was somewhere, I don't know, $3.5 million or more just to do that work. They found a lot of deficiencies as they were moving along, and I think the last I heard on the overruns was in the $400,000+. So there's been a lot of capital put into that development to bring the plumbing and up to speed, and we want to do a real nice job with the roads so that hopefully we won't have to go back in there for another 40 or 50 years. So part of that is maintaining the curbing and getting it right. When you go through there's different places where it's broken, water can get underneath it, and wintertime that causes problems with frost and heaving and everything else. So as my board member said, it behooves us to try and get it right so that we can eliminate some of that in the future and give them the nice job that they deserve there. So.
Our intern manager is very open to discussing it. This is kind of a specialty. We have Public Works Director is going to look at it. If repairs can be made instead of just full replacement, they're willing to talk about that. So, you know, trying to keep on the communication. So we did.
Anything else? All right, public comment, a 5-minute per person limit on non-agenda items. Please come forward, state your name so we have it clearly for the meeting minutes. Okay. All right, and I forgot, I wanted to bring one more thing up, guys. Sorry. Obviously, it was brought to your guys' attention this evening, as it was brought to my attention, but Mr. Mitchell, I guess, had reached out to Stevens Fire Company chief to come in and kind of inform the board a little bit of the word on the street of a decision that was made.
Well, I think the basis of that was really in an email that was forwarded to the board. I think both of you saw that about a change in the Stevens Fire Company and how their command and control is going to be operated. And, you know, it led to some questions from me, and I'm sure it did from you gentlemen as well. So I did contact Chief Oberholzer just to get some feedback from him. He explained to me that he wanted to come to the last meeting to inform the board of the changes that were being made there, but he couldn't make it because of some conflict. So he had then said that there'd be somebody showing up tonight to do that, but there's been a letter put out saying from the Stevens Fire Company saying that they're not going to. So, you know, it had raised some concerns for me about Denver Borough running command and control for their company, you know, and the safety of the citizens in their run area. And, you know, Jason explained himself well, you know, where he thought the company was going with that. And, I thought it would be important for that to be brought in front of the board so everybody could hear what he had to say. And unfortunately, there's been a change of thought process there from him and the leadership of that company. So, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. I'd like to hear it from them directly, why the change, why Denver Fire Company, when we have a newly formed Cocalico Fire Company in our township. So it leaves a lot of questions for me. I don't know what your gentlemen's thoughts are, but I would like to hear more, and I think the public deserves to hear more where this is headed from their perspective.
My biggest concern is, we just got done saying about being transparent where people's money's going. Let's remind everyone, we give a donation of $35,000 to the fire companies. And if Stevens put in on paper that they no longer have command on their calls, on certain calls, should that money be going to Denver now? Or should we be looking at other options? That's a concern to me. And on here, there's a sentence that says, our focus remains on embracing the community first attitude, the motto adopted by the township supervisors. Community first. Well, community first means a lot. You can just read that and say, we're community first, or are we community first and we're really going to put the community first? In my eyes, the option was to come speak to us and say, we're having issues getting people out the door. What do you recommend we should do? I'm not a firefighter. I'm not a fire chief. I don't specialize in fire, but we have a Cocalico area fire department that is in the process of starting. They're going to represent East Cocalico Township. Denver Fire Company does not represent East Cocalico Township. So obviously the discussions that were had between Stevens and Denver could or should have happened with Cocalico area fire department. We have to put our pride aside and do what's best for the community with the community first mentality. I just had this same conversation Tuesday night at Adamstown with Adamstown Borough Council over police services. As a sitting supervisor, we have the responsibility for first responder services in the township for our constituents. Stevens has now put on paper on an email and a letter that was sent to us that they have given command to Denver Fire Company without us even knowing up until now on certain calls. Personally, I think that's a big concern. I think we deserve an explanation, and I think we should be reaching out to them to send them an email, because obviously here they're throwing Mr. Mitchell under the bus, and he's a sitting supervisor. He reached out for some information to have them come out to explain, and they even...
Let's clarify that. I was told that the fire chief was coming last meeting, but he could not make it because of a conflict. But he would be coming to this meeting. And now we get a letter saying he's not coming.
And the biggest concern I have is, I think they're making it political. And I say that because on the bottom of the letter I just received, they CC the newspaper, Larry Alexander. In my opinion, that's totally not necessary. If you're addressing the board of changes in your fire department, that's one thing. If you're trying to get press in the newspaper against our board, and we don't know nothing, we're in the dark, that's a problem. You received $35,000 of East Cocalico Township taxpayer money. We deserve to know what's going on in that department. And if you can't be transparent and let us know that you don't have enough people to run out for a fire call or accident or whatever, we need to know. That way, this board can decide where that $35,000 deserves to go, whether it's with you or with somebody else. But we deserve to know better.
We do already have several other fire companies running in the township, but if I'm incorrect, please let me know.
I'll show you.
The other fire companies have call boxes in our township, and it's their duty to run and respond to that. Do I have that correct? So, that is not the case. I don't think Denver Fire Company runs anywhere in our township, except showing up for mutual aid. And do I have that right too?
They do have boxes in the
Do
township.
they?
Yes.
In Bondview or somewhere else?
It's just upsetting that we're making first responders political in the township. Because if my house catches fire, I don't care what your political side is. You guys are volunteers. I hope you guys come and try to work together and put the fire out. Save me, my wife, my kids, my animals. I think that's what our residents deserve, not political. We need to do what's best for the East Cocalico Township residents. We have our own fire companies that we donate to every year, and the ambulance. If you now acknowledge that you don't have the capabilities of operating your house on your own, you should have approached the township supervisors.
I'll dial it back a little bit for us so we can, my tenure here, I've been focusing as much as I can with the fire departments. I've been meeting with chiefs, I've been meeting with all the chiefs of Cocalico. It's obvious that Reamstown and Smokestown were working very closely to become merged, and we were trying to get, Stevens for many years to do the same with all three departments. The letter expresses, we won't read it all, we'll share it here if anybody wants to see it, but the letter expresses some of the concerns and issues and tribulations that the departments are all going through, which I have mentioned here. I mentioned last year, whether it be staffing, apparatus, finances. The letter goes through that pretty distinctly. My issue with the letter is a little bit different than what Lorenzo was stating, is the offer has been out there to merge our departments because of all of these issues, because of apparatus, because of staffing, because of finances. And then it states in here that we had started conversations with Denver last year because we are good for one another, because of apparatus, because of how they can staff and we can't. And I'm like, why wasn't this conversation with the department within East Cocalico when we were all sitting around in the same room having this conversation? So why then did it go backdoor dealings? And I'm not saying anything against any fire department, especially not Denver or anybody. I'm not pointing fingers here. I'm just, my question and concern is why, if we're having that many issues, specifically with Stevens, because we're discussing them, why was the conversation not had with Reamstown, with Smokestown, or even with Denver? I mean, ultimately, I foresee in the future, and I think a lot of our chiefs do, that it will be one large department in order to be able to service our community because of all of these trials and tribulations and financial concerns that we're having across the country and across Cocalico, that our departments may eventually have to come together. And this was a start with Reamstown and Smokestown, and then a step in the future in the right direction. And it just seems like we're trying to reinvent the wheel by going behind when everything is already in place and was in process and the invitations were there. Now it's kind of a knee-jerk, we need to figure out something, so we're gonna, instead of going to Reevestown, we go to Denver, and it became political, like you said. So that's my concern. This can't be a political issue. It needs to be what makes sense.
As you're speaking, I'm thinking, you know what's even more upsetting? They're a part of our, the Relief Association. So, they're a part of the Relief Association, which is Reamstown, Smokestown, and Stevens. So if they can't run all these calls and they're having Denver take over, they still get their fair share of the relief money as well. So it really makes no sense. So it behooves us to do our homework and really understand how we see the future of firefighting in East Cocalico, and we got some decisions to make. Whether this board wants to do it or not, we have decisions to make, and they're not easy. We have decisions to make. No one said it would be easy because everyone in this community would be doing what we're doing. It's not easy. We make the decisions based off of what we think's best for our community. And this right here, I'll tell you right now how I feel, and I think you already can hear it in my voice. I don't like being played, and I was just played. And I will be reaching out to them, telling them to come to our May 1st meeting directly.
Okay.
Our next meeting is going to be Thursday, May 1st at 7 p.m. here at the Township Building. I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Hold on one second.
Maybe you'd like to see if there's any.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you wanna see. Since we brought it up afterwards, if you wanna see if anybody has a public comment on that, because we missed it during public comment.
It's okay.
Anybody have any public comment? Not to take your, do we have any public comment on that before we adjourn? All right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Happy Easter. Get home safe.